Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Red Path. My name's Brian, and today we have another guest back on, familiar face. Hi, Jack. How's it going?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm doing good, Jack. And today's going to be a little bit of a special one. We're going to be talking about world eaters. I know, right? On the World Eater channel, talking world eaters, and you have Jack, one of the eaters of worlds in this country. Obviously, very accomplished player. Make sure you check out his channel, Art of War. We're going to probably do a couple plugs for that in here, but it's nice to have Jack back on. Jack and I have been kind of like little buddies when it comes to our World Eatering lately. So it's good to have him back on because we just had Data Slate happen.
Absolutely. A lot of stuff
A
changed.
lot of stuff changed and a lot of big things coming up, right? We have Challengers Cup coming up.
Yep.
We have World Championships of Warhammer coming up. Now, I don't know if Jack's going to be playing World Eaters at Worlds. He's probably definitely thinking about it,
Yep.
but
Thinking
uh,
about it for sure.
there is a lot of high-level competitive World Eater conversation to be had from a singles perspective and from a team's perspective in the next couple of weeks. So, in this episode today, guys, it's just going to be Jack and I chatting about the meta like we did in the last one. Our thoughts on teams World Eaters, singles World Eaters, the slate, how our matchups have changed, and maybe a couple lists that we're just messing around with and thinking about.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
how you doing, Jack?
I'm doing great. I think 40K is in a pretty solid place right now, and I think the data slate was, if it was kind to anyone, it was kind to us. It's like us and AdMech and
Yeah, Orcs got a little bit of help, but
Work's got a bit of a help, but man, did we get transformed, I
I
think.
mean, yeah, and I would actually say broadly, and this isn't very zoomed out, the data slate didn't, I want to say it didn't change much for everybody.
No, Thousand Suns, which were one of, I think, our better matchups, or at least we were one of their worst matchups. Thousand Suns got like nuked. GSC Hosts of Ascension got demolished. That army does not exist in the same form anymore, unfortunately for all GSC.
120 dudes raining from the air. It was a kind of a toxic play experience, but it's always sad to see that dude that was painting up his 120th neophyte and looking at that slate.
Listen, I have a close friend who plays basically just Hosts of Ascension, and it was a rough day.
Yeah, I
It was
can
a
imagine.
rough day for him.
I can imagine. We've all been there. But like I'd say like broadly, other than like 4 or 5 armies, Slay didn't do much. But
But
challenger cards are gone.
Challenge
So
cards are gone, inshallah. Like that's
it,
this is so
and
good.
and you like I guess getting straight into it is talking about the slate, like that's so good for us. That was probably one of the worst things that could have happened to an already like the game favors shooting pretty heavily, broadly speaking. Killing your opponent from a distance is significantly less risky than trying to kill your opponent in close combat because you can fail a charge. Just stand out in the open, you just fail to kill them and then just die, right? Usually close combat fighting is a little bit riskier. And the one thing that we did have in our advantage as a close combat favored army is that we could knock our opponent off a primary, rack that score up, table ourselves by turn 4, look at your opponent on turn 5 and say, I hope you can figure out a 50-point deficit. And usually the answer was no. And challenger cards made that go from like a 30, 40, 50-point deficit to like a they need to find 25 points on their last turn and they got bottom of turn, and that's actually
Yep.
pretty likely.
If you start killing them early, they get like 12 extra points on challenger cards or 9 extra points on challenger cards.
And
They get
then
decent secondaries, and all of a
and
sudden,
they got 30 points. They figure it out. They get 30 points and you lose the game because you went first as a melee pressure army, even though you did the right thing and you kept your opponent off their expansion for every turn of the game.
listen, I declare victory. We have defeated the vile challenger cards,
And
and they're gone. They're gone.
And we do support Beard and Pretzels Warhammer here. You can still play Challenger cards in a competitive or in a casual setting if you ever chose to. Feel free to do that there. That is not where I am glad to see them gone.
Yes,
Um,
and
Granted. Yeah, it was
We
like
got some pretty big buffs.
we did. We
We got
did.
pretty big.
I'm just like I think last little gripe on Challenger cards at Nova. I had a Berserker squad move 23 inches in charge because I just drew. My opponent scored 10 points in secondaries on turn one, and I went second, and I was like, oh, I guess I got a dud. I got engaged, and I just got the Challenger card, and I was like, oh, guess these Berserkers go 23 in charge turn one or turn two. And I was just like,
Yep.
sweet, cool. Nice
Nobody thought
pre-measuring.
about that.
Yeah, nice pre-measuring.
I
So
played a local GT and I beat Richard because of Challenger cards. And then I lost the following round to the same friend who plays Host of Ascension because of Challenger cards, right? Like I
karma.
won by one and scored like nine Challenger cards, and I lost by seven and
It
gave
it
up nine Challenger cards.
it just sucked because it felt like you gave up a lot of agency as a player in terms of player skill, right? Like you can do all the right things, and then your opponent draws go through walls. And now that Bloodthirster that you had pre-measured actually gets you pretty handedly and easily. So it's good to see those gone, mainly from the game design mechanic side, but like as a melee pressure army, pressure works better like it should now. So hopefully, a passive aggressive style World Leaders gets rewarded a little bit more, even if you go first. Now you can actually float a little bit. Bottom of turn is still probably pretty strong, but at least it isn't like I said, they're not going to have 12, 9 extra points just like in their pocket.
Yep. Yep.
So
Sure. And also they just like don't have to leave because they know that if you come forward, they get a bunch of free points.
yeah,
You have to come forward, but then they still get a bunch of extra free points. So then you have to go even harder than you want to, and you
and now
like,
you're tabled by 3, right? And then it's just like what is this for? So challenger cards are gone, and world leaders. I would say, I mean, we're just not gonna just gonna lean right into it. I'd say, I think this is the strongest world leaders have ever been since they've had a codex period, even across ninth edition. I think this is our time to shine. I don't know if I'd say we're the best army in the game. We're probably gonna have to see some results for that. There's probably a couple other contenders that can challenge us for that title, but we are up there. We are definitely up there.
certainly. I don't know what Devil and Eldar players sacrificed their soul to, but Eldar didn't effectively get touched. 20 man swooping hawks went up. I know it's all the rage in Europe, but I personally just took three 5 mans and they went up 0. My Eldar list went from 1995 to 2000, which is actually a crime. Super cool, super
You
awesome.
opened your app and you're like, oh no. Anyways, and just
Look at
put your phone.
that. Cool.
And guess what? I think I'll also say safely, like we're probably still in a knight meta. Like knights are not bad and gone yet.
Oh,
I
that used to
think
be very bad for us. That used to be
yeah.
like pretty terrible that we were in a Knights meta, and now it's pretty awesome.
Now it's okay. Now I'm happy the knight meta. I'm like, thank God they didn't nerf him harder in the slate, right? That was like a definitely like a they can stick around a little bit longer. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, we're out here praying for them to get buffs. Like, please,
So
please, please become more of a meta share.
So I kind of talked about it in the last video, but I just want to get your thoughts. Like, why do you think that everybody's obviously saying that we are in the top three armies or top echelon of armies? Why is that the case? Like, what about this slate actually changed that for us?
Well, I thought it would have been really funny if I came on and started arguing that the 40 or 30 points that we went up is like crippling. And it would be really funny if I was just like, man, we got nerfed in the slate. Rough.
Damn, that
Uh,
sucks.
but I just honestly couldn't think I did that. I could do that with a straight face. So I just didn't. Here's the deal, right? I mean, you're well aware of this. Our worst matchups were first off Eldar, although we'll talk about this more later. I assume we talk about some
Yep.
matchups. Um, if Eldar plays it properly, perfectly, it's a very bad matchup. But Eldar players, by and large, are cowards. I um,
Oh, that's a cold open.
so they will the proper way to play is like really hands-on, really controlling what you can do while also shooting you really hard. I played it from the other side a bunch. It's
Mhm.
horrific. But if they don't play it properly, you're totally fine into that. Um, but the worst one was Knights because it doesn't matter if they play it properly or not.
Improperly, right? Like sometimes you just like ship it and it doesn't work, right? And then
Yeah, if they have like five bigs, man, especially when they cared about who was your warlord, right? If you oopsie daisy made the prince or Khorne your warlord, congratulations, you
yeah, that
lost.
was the favor bound in the back. That was what the warlord became at all times.
But what would happen is you could kill like one knight. With the Khorne and 10 dudes, you can kill a knight. And then every other time you want to kill a knight, it involves units that do like 12 damage. And that's quite bad because every weapon in the army was strength 10.
Yep.
So that was quite bad. And yes, you could take Mauler Fiends, and those were strength higher, the strength 16
Right.
on the charge, right?
They
You could
weren't they
make
weren't ideal, right? They were clunky, hard to hide. And granted, they got the job done, but you had a couple hoops to jump through, right?
Yeah, and they would frequently do like 16 damage to a knight, which is great. That's awesome. I love that. Unfortunately, there's a little 2 CP strat called Interrupt where Canis Rex just spins like a Beyblade and wipes out whatever other units were going to hit him. And
Right.
then on his turn, kills another unit and kills the Mauler Fiend. And you, there, against knights, there was a problem that you theoretically could kill them, but it was very, once you used your ability to kill a knight, you were now done killing big knights for the rest of the game.
Yep.
And then they just run over you really, really hard. And it was very bad. It was very bad. It wasn't even like if they played it right. Sure, if they play it wrong, like you get a bunch of extra EV in the matchup that you're not supposed to. But like if they just play it fine, you're face
Yeah,
down with a bunch of stats you're kind of bad at killing unless you take some weird off meta options that really actually aren't that good in that matchup anyway.
and it was sad because the probably the correct thing for the knight player to do was to just ship all five into the middle of the table, say figure it out, walk away from the table, go get a glass of water, and come back while you're sweating over the table.
Yep. And the main problem was anyone halfway decent knows that's what they do as the knight player, and you're like, oh damn, my nemesis. And like things like Angron lie to you. They tell you I'm here to kill big knights. And that is kind of true.
I mean, he is one of the profiles for it, but
One of the profiles for it, for sure.
that is definitely high risk, high reward because
But
sometimes he don't do it,
sometimes he don't do it.
and
And
you
there's
lose a quarter of your army.
no rerolls. You lose a quarter of your army, and God forbid in the past you were playing into Imperial Knights because he had to be your warlord. And so you just effectively lose the game on the spot.
Yeah.
So back in the past, knights were very, very bad for us. We could kill the armigers, fantastic. They're T9, perfect. But the big knights, if they took like more than three of them, was like kind of
Yeah.
unplayable. And that was very popular, and that was a problem. Everyone liked playing knights, you know?
It was like 20% of a tournament was night players at one point.
Dude,
It was a lot.
it
And
was,
then yeah, the Death Guard players in there too. It was like a third of the room was three armies. That
yeah. Yeah, at
was a
least with
time.
that card, I feel like if you play better than them, you get to win that game.
Yeah. The
But there's a like little data sheet change.
just a little bit.
There is something in our codex that's supposed to help deal with these high toughness
And he,
monstrosities.
yeah, we have Exalted Ape Out.
Oh yeah, there's a second kind of eight bound.
Yeah.
Fun fact. I don't know
The
if you know.
one that's supposed to be better than the regular Ape Out.
Yeah, see, they are good at killing vehicles, right? Well, in the past, the answer was no. They
They
were
like
another unit that lied to you. They said
50-50 killed an Armiger, which was just a micro Angron interaction where it's like if you don't kill the Armiger, then they just die and you're just sitting there sad. It was
they
just
might
like
have possibly been less likely to kill an armiger than
it,
like regular eight bound.
it was like this close that they did it. And like you hope they did.
That'd be sick. But
That's
yeah,
now you're investing the CP into the AP to make sure they do.
yeah. So there were a lot of units in our codex that just like said, I handle this problem and then run out and get splattered. And it's like horrible, right? But Exalted get changed. Exalted now do their goddamn job. They now have +1 damage, not just to them, but also an attached character, which is kind of a rule they haven't really done that much recently. But they get +1 damage against monsters and vehicles. And now, okay, now it's a whole different ball game. All right, it's just a completely different
And
story. And then
let
with
me
Slaughterbound,
yeah, this dude gives me Slaughterbound before we get too far in. This dude gives me OG Mo vibes. This dude gives me day one Mo vibes hard. Which
yeah,
is a
he's
good that was a good
cranked.
feeling. He's
Right,
cranked.
great. So he went to base strength 10. Now I'm not sure why they did this. Possibly because there are some there. Listen, we can. It's just us World Leader players here. We can level with ourselves. Some of us are whiners. Okay, it's okay. They can't hear us. They don't know we're talking. This is all just us talking about ourselves. Some of us are whiners, and we're like, oh my God, I can't believe my guy has a strength characteristic that's the same as a different strength characteristic, but my guy's cool and he's lame, so we should have a higher strength. Anyway, GW listened and they made the slaughter. I don't care what it took. We got what I
We got there.
GW made his base strength 10, which is fake. It's actually 12
It
on
is
the.
actually 12, which it's like functionally fine if you're doing all of the other detachments going to 10. I mean, that's a big break point going from 8 to 10, but going from 8 to, or sorry, going from 10 to 12 is
It's one of the more important breakpoints in the entire game. Yeah,
that
it's
that's the durability stat check break point. That's the, hey, here's a Land Raider, hope you can kill it. Here's a Redeemer, hope you can kill it. Here's a T11 Big Knight.
you will just kill it, and he gets +1 damage from the exalted. And so let me put it this way: when the slate dropped, I rolled out. I think I told you about this.
Yeah.
I rolled out 3 exalted and a slaughterbound without glaive because I just wanted to get a feel for it into a big knight into like Canis Rex, for example, with +1 AP. And I rolled it out like 5 or 6 times. I never got less than 40 damage. And one time I hit 60 damage. I rolled good, obviously,
Yep.
for that.
Yeah. Like
But like I never rolled less than 40. To be clear, they have 26 wins.
I've been I've been playing a test games with this dude now, and I just like have I've been consistently making the same mistake with him of not splitting his attacks.
Yeah.
Where I went up to a Vindicator and I did 28 mortal wounds to it before saves. And just took that Vindicator and sent it into orbit. And I was like, dang, I could have split attacks. I'm messing up, guys. I'm
Oh my
not playing
God.
efficient. I was
Yeah.
like, I have to sit down and really rethink my life because this dude's got what you put. I mean, the code 3 detachments have the ability. Four detachments in the book have the ability to push him to damage 4.
Yep.
You have the 3 variants of Berserker Glaive. There's 3 of them. You have Vessels has 1, Khorne Demonkin has 1, Warband has 1, and then you have even funnier, Jack. Dara sat down. Possessed Slaughter Band has the 1 CP. The whole squad gets +1 damage,
Yep. And they can do
and
crit fives as
that
well.
kills and crit fives. That squad kills a Reaver Titan on average, I think, with no buffs.
So our problem before was damage into big targets. We now do not have a problem killing big
Yep.
targets. So into Death Guard, I legitimately think we're pretty fine into Death Guard. I actually thought we were fine before, but I understand how it can get very squirrely, like very
Okay.
quick, right? But I think if you like do everything properly, it was a fine matchup. Largely because you murder their infantry at like lightning speed because we kill elite infantry, it's kind of what we do.
Yep.
And all of their vehicles were toughness 9. But there was one unit in their book that was very hard for us to kill and caused a lot of problems.
One and
There's two,
one and
but
a half. One and a
small.
half.
Yeah, one's small. What's the unit that's like can cause some serious problems because you can't kill it?
Be Morty.
Be
You know
Mortar.
what? And
Be
it's the same
Mortar.
situation
Yeah.
as a knight, where sometimes they just shove him in the middle of the table. So you figure it out. If you bounce, that's actually a pretty big loss condition in that game. As if
Yeah.
you fall for the distraction, Morty, that is how you lost that game. And sometimes, like if it's like supply drop, sometimes they're just like figure it out.
Yeah, if they
And
put it in the right place, it's not a distraction, Morty. You just gotta deal with them.
before we were like in the figure it out mode. Like we could reasonably figure a way out to kill him, like Karn +10, a
Throw a
couple Forge
grenade.
Fiends, a grenade, a tank
Yeah.
shock,
You
right?
like chip him down a bunch and then you charge. I mean, like the
Then that
problem was Karn and 10 wound him on sixes with like the
yeah.
red. Dude, that sucks. He has access to -1 damage. It's a
And
5/0
then when he goes
pain.
down, he's going to kill all 10 Berserkers with the fight on death 2 up.
Yep.
Well,
Well,
I think what you unit crunched the new Slaughterbound +3 with Glaive, with assuming max buffs. And what was it, like 14, 15 damage through -1 damage and the
yeah,
Field of Pain?
it was somewhere in there. Yeah, with lethal sustained, you don't need +1 AP, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Lethal, yep. So with lethal sustained, and that's it. Um, you do about 14, 15. I didn't run it through like a program. I just used my calculator, but
It's assuming they -1 damage, though.
assuming they -1. If he does a -1, gone, right?
Which
And
that's
that's
like,
like you throw a grenade and charge him, and congrats, he's dead.
and
And
your
like, sure,
240
you do all the
point
other
unit.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's gonna fight on death, and he might not even kill you, honestly, because he's wounding pretty poorly. If he sweeps the Slaughterbound, he's probably not killing that unit back. Or it must be close.
yeah, probably. He probably gets the unit, not the slaughterbound. Like the slaughterbound might be at
One,
4 or
two, three,
something.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He has to get 9 wounds through. So
Wounding on threes.
I'm handing you 15, was that 15 saves? ish. Yeah, 15 saves ish, like 14 saves out of 15 attack. Yeah, he's not. He shouldn't. There's
You
a
should,
reasonable chance he doesn't
but
even kill you.
you shouldn't. You're T5, which means he wins you on three. Or T6 goes to T5.
Yeah, and he has strength 8. So yeah, there's a good chance you actually live that crackback, which
Uh,
the Karn break just didn't. The Karn break just evaporated instantly.
yeah, Khorne, he'll kill like 8 minimum, right? Minimum.
Yeah,
And they don't have invulns, so they're functionally 8p3s. They take 6 ups. But like, and you can't -1 damage against the fight on death, which would solve a lot of those problems.
yeah.
So having that answer to the biggest problem flips it on its head. It was Morty was a liability for us. Now Morty's a liability for them because they have a ton of points tied up in a guy who can't go forward or he just dies.
And you're gonna be keeping this dude, the Slaughterbound, up in space with the baseball bat, and you're just gonna be like, "You
Yep.
sure you pre-measured 9 inches? You got me
Yep.
screened? You got me screened?
Yep. You sure Morty wants to stay in the back?
Okay,
Well,
we're fine with that. Yeah, you stand back there. The points are up here." Because that was the other thing is like not much answers the helm prints in that matchup,
yes.
right? They have to like drive really close and shoot you with drones, which are very inconsistent at doing damage to the helm prints, right? And I think I'm fine with them attempting to kill the helm prince with 3 bloat drones because the helm prince probably still lives through that, and then you just turn around and smack the bloat drones off the table with your forge fiends.
Yeah, two Forge Fiends kill one bloat drone every time. You might legitimately kill one, work on the next if the first one gets lucky. The Helm Prince spikes one, and then something else kills the third one. At
Yeah,
like
and
three
now
types
you're
of 8 bound.
like cruising because like they have no guns and you have pew pew guns still, and it's actually really impressive that the world leader army is shooting down on you.
Your guns are actually like super good into them, and their guns are kind of not great into. Well, if they get you in contagion range, they'll kill you
So
pretty good, but
so
otherwise, not so much.
so I guess we'll pop the brakes here. We're gonna probably talk a little bit more about Death Guard and the specific matchups, but like coming back to the Slate Jack, of course we did have more changes than just the Slaughterbound and the Exalted Ape-Bound, which I would say we're a toolbox army, right? That was our biggest problem with Index is a lot of our matchups sometimes came down to the fact that we just couldn't handle screens. We didn't go first. They jailed us in our deployment zone. They were going to keep jailing us in our deployment zone. That changed with the Codex because we got access to not fantastic shooting, but like well above average shooting. Like this isn't like a Riptide from downtown now. It's because Riptides are scary now.
This is a unit
Um,
that a lot of people would take if they had access to it. It requires
yes.
0 buffs, 0 CP, comes with its own rerolls, fires a ridiculous number of shots, and is good into every single target.
Yep. Even wounding on fives. It is great. It is great at chip damage.
Yeah.
But we have access to very good shooting. We have the Lonot Prince, which I am arm in arm with you. I will never cut a Demon Prince from my list. It will be a cold day in hell before I cut a Demon Prince from a list. Um, the access to Lonop, especially in singles, lets you play on tables that are horrible, otherwise horrible. But then you're just like, hey, I'm just gonna stick this dude out in the open, and he's getting cheered on from behind a wall and back here, and now you can suddenly play on an unplayable table, and you don't have to rely on sticky on death to score primary, which is an unreliable way to score primary. It's a nice tool to have, but relying on it is not great. And the thing that we can kill infantry and elite infantry like nothing. Piling consolidate 6, great for us. So we have good shooting. We have lone op CP shenanigans or lone op CP shenanigans, CP generation. The one thing we were missing was the anti-tank, right? That was really the biggest hole in the toolkit. And now I'd say we have a well-rounded toolkit. We have the tools to answer any problem in the game,
Yes.
um, which is a hallmark for being a good army. And we're fast and we're lethal.
Yep.
And we have all the tools we need to enable that, which is everything you need to be a good army.
Yep. Yep.
Uh,
I will, dude, I don't know how much fortunes would have to go up to where I'm not playing two anymore. Going from no shooting, no functional shooting in World Eaters before, because I did flirt with the Forge Fiends a little bit back in the before times, but by the end of the index, I'd cut them again. They were okay. They were fine. You could put them in or take them out. It's whatever. Um, but they weren't efficient shooting back then. They were just hit on threes, no rerolls. They weren't as many shots. So like,
yeah.
probably okay. Going from no shooting to shooting your opponent has to really respect, or else they're gonna just like just die. Oh my God, it's night and day.
And
It's
it
so night and day.
and it flips. I mean, we'll talk about more into the matchups, but those four chains single-handedly make matchups green that would otherwise be yellow to red. I would classify gunless world leaders into Blood Angels as sketchy. I would classify gunless world leaders into Emperor's Children as very sketchy, right? But as soon as you have two gun platforms that, if you protect them, are straight up liabilities for your opponent because they cannot just be giving away 2 units a turn to these Forge Fiends for 5 turns, right? That is an unsustainable business model.
You
uh,
can't be doing that, especially if any of them have like fight first, right? And you just get to diffuse that by just blowing them up.
yeah, what happens when somebody takes what the speed of the Primarch and
Yep.
just puts it on Blade Guard and shoves it in the middle of the table? And if you're gunless world leaders, you're just staring at it. You're like,
Oh, I guess
I'm guessing I'm going to charge that with 5 things and figure it out. Like that's the only answer.
and as soon as you have to go like a lot deeper into your bag of tricks to find an answer, sure you can, but like your opponent has to go way less deep into their bag of tricks to just kill you.
Yeah, you're losing so much value at that point that usually in the melee fight it comes down to those little ticks and tallies and trades and stuff. So I guess the point that I'm making is we have phenomenal tools. Use those tools. Don't go overboard or knee-jerk react is my opinion. I'm sure Jack is going to be of a similar opinion. Forge
Yeah.
Fiends went up 20 points. Does that mean you cut them? Maybe if you're running 3, you cut down to 2. Just because I mean it is functionally going to be like 30% of your list is guns if you play 3. 2 is a sweet spot to be. My opinion is 2 or 0. I don't like 1. Um, and
Yeah,
make
one's
sure,
just a little too play aroundable. Like
yeah.
two to a nice crossfire, and that's just very good.
And 1 they just hang out on one side of the table and come out and like it's um 8 bound. Same thing with this. They got a nice point cut. 8 bound and exalted. 8 bound, in my opinion, were already fine and playably good. They did a job. They cracked transports and they murdered marine equivalent models, and they made sure your berserkers were hitting on 2s into those custodian wardens to really make sure you were killing them because one warden and a blade champ lives and you're big sad. So +1 to hit, it's good. Now they're cheap, and I would start to classify them as efficient trading units into things that they kill. An exalted 8 bound. Um, I'd go as far to say is 1 is a requirement in every list. 2 is probably the comfortable place to be,
I would
but
I would agree.
1 is an auto include. I think in singles you could probably back it back down to 1. In teams, 2 basically locks down airtight. Don't put vehicles in. Like the world leader player is now a no-no zone for pairing vehicle heavy matchups into.
Yeah.
So for me, I'd say don't overreact and spam 8 bound because they'd still die lightning fast. Play just enough to be able to do the jobs we need. Also, don't cut your guns unless you're doing something crazy. I'm going to contradict myself a little bit towards the end of this video, but don't
Actually,
cut your guns.
intervention, Brian.
What's up?
There's actually an intervention later on, an
Oh,
intervention against your potentially no shooting ways.
I have a tendency to choke and throw right before an event by submitting the wrong list. But the Forge Fiends, the Khorne Brick, the Exalted 8 bound, the 8 bound, the Spawn, all of this comes together as this nice, perfect toolkit package where there really shouldn't be many things your opponent can do to throw wrenches at your plan. Like your game plan's now fairly consistent, is
Yes,
my opinion. And if you
I
take
would.
one of those pieces out, we go back to where we were with the knight problem, whereas like that could be literally anything. No guns means you get jailed. You take your slaughterbound out, now you're getting stomped on by robots, right?
Yeah, because like one thing that changed pretty heavily from Index to now is that we don't have a flying unit that can threaten people. We had it with Angron. Angron could go like deep into the play pattern was basically yes, you could block me, move block me from getting to your front lines, like, and I'll hit your front lines and I'll eradicate everything on that. But then I get wrecked by the stuff behind it, and it's very easy to set that up, especially if you have no guns. But Angron was this little missile who could go 22 inches right downfield, often 20. Could go 20 inches downfield, hop screens, get over it, get into whatever your opponent's trying to protect, kill it, tag something, and say, hey, you got to point all your guns up to deal with this. And the move block didn't like 100% work. And so he was like vital in that role, honestly. And right before the slate dropped, I was flirting with the idea of actually, I was going to submit for Challengers Cup a winged Demon Prince.
Yeah, I was trying to talk you off that ledge, but yeah, that was true. This
Yeah,
is
so
true.
the Winged Demon Prince is terrible. Like his Daoshi rules don't do anything. Literally, the stats I'm interested in for him are fly and 14-inch move. Now it's irrelevant because we're not taking him anymore. Like I'm not taking him anymore.
Right.
But with 14-inch move, he can rapid ingress down, deep strike, and then hop over a screen. You need actually exactly 14 to clear your base, their base, and the 1-inch gap. And that is like very helpful to be able to go over screens. If you have shooting, you can take narrow little angles and like pick off their screens, not get really shot back, and then you have the avenue to push forward. But we don't have those flying threats. So one weakness that we do have, and it's just unfortunately still the case, is that we don't fly. And so they can block and control space. Without shooting, we don't really have a recourse for that.
Give us jump pack berserkers. GW, I'm
Oh,
begging you.
give us Raptors.
Give us maybe, hopefully, I don't know. That's on the wish list is definitely some form of fly in the army at that point at an infantry level. But that's a wish list for sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, that is a good point. That is one thing that separates us from Blood Angels. Like you notice it a lot when I'm talking about matrixing and pairings, is that it's like, oh, I can't handle this. They're just gonna gum me up for days, and then we have the Blood Angels players like, well, that's not a problem for me. I just have jump packs and go skirt fly over them, and it's fine, right?
Yes. Now we have a variety of things that Blood Angels would kill for.
Oh, correct. Yeah, that is
Yeah,
definitely not crying about it, that right now.
I assume we'll talk about that when we get to matchups. I don't want to dive too deep into that. I have thoughts on the world leaders into other melee army matchups. But we have this very well-rounded tool set as you laid out that I think is very finely tuned and it has all the solutions to all of your problems. You just need to use them properly, which is a great place to be in, honestly, for an army. And yes, our points went up a little bit. Net, our points probably, if you tech into Exalted 8-bound, our points probably went up about like 20,
And I
15,
think if we're
20.
talking the list that we're going to be talking about later actually didn't change in points or dropped significantly.
So the
Um,
list we were kicking around because listen, this is not our first time talking. We have conspired.
we yeah, a little bit.
So the list that we were kicking around that we worked on went up 5 points.
Yeah, I think it went from 1990 to 1995.
Yes.
And uh, we'll talk. I guess this is going to be a good segue into talking about the list because Jack and I are both looking at a similar list to be taking to Challengers Cup, which list submission, the filming of this video is in a couple days. Um, the list is very similar to the people on this channel that have been paying attention to my first list that I wrote actually for 10th edition Codex World Leaders back in the GW Open Dallas. It's pretty much the same list with tweaks, but I would argue it is strictly better
Uh,
than it was then, and it did not change in points. So like a 7-2 performance there, like this list can't win, and I was beating pre-nerf Death Guard.
I
And
think it was like one Exalted was a regular 8-bound.
yeah, and I had Goremongers in there somehow. I think yeah, Exalted went to regular, and Jackals went to Goremongers. I think was the list at that point. But yeah, without further ado, Jack, what are we running?
So the list that we worked on, I kind of call it Noah's Ark because there's a lot of 2x2s in this list. It's a Demon Prince on foot with Helm of Brazen Ire. This dude's my waifu. You cannot take him away from me. All right.
I'm sorry I ever put favored on you.
He forgives you. For in Khorne's Infinite Light, there's always room for forgiveness. So Footprints with Helm. This dude is so good. Oh my God. Khorne, two Slaughterbounds, one with Berserker Glaive, one with Favorite of Khorne. You have a unit of 10 Khorne Berserkers in a Rhino to go with Khorne. Two Chaos Spawn units, so 2x2. Two 8-bound units. Two Exalted 8-bound units. Two Forge Fiends. And two Jackals.
Two, 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 all the way down the line. Um, yeah, like I said, this is pretty dang close. It's a six. It works. Like the list works. This is
Significantly better than it was, too, because Exalted actually do their goddamn job.
yeah, and I mean, granted, honestly, I was pretty meh about them before, because the one problem that I've always been griping about for World Leaders is that you saw me go through this at Dallas, and you saw me have the exact same mental crisis at Nova, was that I really wanted to have a solid rapid ingress option for World Leaders so that we could maximize full pressure on your opponent, right? If you're pushing them from the front and the back, now they're just going to get confused, right? That means they're
How
leaving
smart.
resources in the back of the table to screen you, which means they have less stuff in the middle. If they have less stuff in the middle, that means you're stomping their brains out in the middle of the table because they have less resources to stop you, right? So I was really struggling, like before the change in Dallas, right? I was like okay with old Exalted 8 bound plus Slaughterbound. Like it actually get picked up. It used to pick up a big knight before they went up 4 wounds and got access to -1 damage. As soon as I got access to -1 damage, I was like, all right, the dream's dead. Nova, same thing. I brought in Invocatus to bring in 3 8 bound. Was like the, I guess like the Bud Light version of this, of just like this is the light version. But that was actually like more points than what it is now. And now with Glaive, Slaughterbound plus 3 Exalted, I don't know if there's many targets in the game that want to tank that in the face, right?
No, no. And the ones that are like cool with tanking it generally are like tough infantry of some description. And so you just put him with regular 8 bound, and now they are no longer cool with that.
Right. And I guess we can start from the top of the list and kind of talk through a couple of the units. We don't need to talk about the Demon Prince too much. There's a ton of content, Jack talking about that on his channel. There's also a ton of content, us talking about the Demon Prince. He's just good. Khorne, same thing. He went up 15 points. He deserved it. He's still good.
Dude, people were asking me if I cut Karn now, and I'm like,
You're
no.
crazy. You're crazy. You don't
No.
deserve to have Khorne if you ask that question.
Oh.
Um, the Slaughterbound's up. Very interesting. First of all, Jack was saying Slaughterbound without Glaive, I believe he said, was rolling into Canis and consistently doing that level of damage, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
We're still keeping Glaive on this dude. Why? For that point we brought up a little bit earlier, Mortarion popping -1 damage, right?
Yep.
Satan having your damage, because how math works, apparently, is half plus two is a thing, or in Magnus's case, 0 plus 2 is a thing.
Yep. They
Um,
somehow, if you half 4 damage, it becomes 3.
and that is the most world eater math I've ever heard. That is just like,
Because
screw you, nerd. I do three
for,
damage.
for people who have to explain it to their opponent across the table for them, he is base damage 2. Division and multiplication happens first in the rules, so that becomes 1. Then you add the +1 from Exalted and the +1 from the Glaive, and he becomes damage 3 again, and he's strength 12, and so bye bye Catan
And you
on.
went back from being sketchy math into killing Catan to a little bit more consistent math. Also, Magnus instances or a Tyrann effect, something that gives you 0 damage, that changes your damage characteristic, which goes to 0. The +2 is not part of your damage characteristic. That just slides on afterwards. So make sure you're doing that correctly. I actually went like the start of 10th edition, not knowing that, and scamming myself on my D3 plus D3 damage on Mo.
Ooh, that was huge.
Yeah, I should be doing like 4 damage to his Katana instead I was doing like 2 or 3. So yeah, that was a big problem. But that if you get in an argument at the table, that is the logic that gets you out of that argument. So that's why we keep Glaive on him. It sounds like it's overkill, but it's overkill till it's not, and then you're gonna really wish you had Glaive in that situation.
It's
Which
also not all enemy targets that you need to kill are monsters and vehicles,
true,
like into something like Wraiths or Deathwing Knights
or just
or
Terminators, right?
Terminators generally, you're really still going to want Glaive, and he goes with 8 bound at that point, and then you mess them all up.
Yeah, and I'd say like 3 Exalted plus Glaive Bound is a solid answer for a Death Shroud Terminator brick, right? Because even if they pop -1 damage, you're still probably harvesting that entire group.
Yeah, they're all gone. Bye
They're all
bye.
gone. But if you didn't have Glaive, they -1 damage, they probably reasonably tank that, and the Lord of Contagion smacks you off the table, right? That is a real
Or
possibility.
something like Wrath of the Rock, right? You play into Wrath of the Rock, Deathwing Knights. Kind of hard to kill them. Like Karn will still get it done. Karn is the G like that, but you want to have more than one answer, and this will be another answer because you go +1
Correct.
AP, so they're taking their invulns even if they armor of contempt. Everything wounds on threes now, but you go sustained dev or sustained lethal possibly actually because they have the Watcher, and then you
Yep.
swing into them, and every 2 failed saves against Berserker Glaive just kills a guy, and then it's a billion attacks that then wound them on threes.
And that is worth noting right now because Dar and I have crunched that math before. Sustained lethal is better math into something like Wardens or Deathwing Knights that have the option of the Feel No Pain over Dev Wounds. It's like by a fraction of a percent. It's actually like marginally better to go lethal. But
It is marginally better. It is better to go dev wounds if you can throw something at them where they have to pop it, and then your plan is to finish them off with something later.
as soon as they have
Oh,
a Feel No Pain, lethal's better. That's usually
yeah.
how it goes.
Yeah.
But Yeah, so that's why we have Glaive there. The favored bound, which is I'd say the most interesting unit in the list, because he doesn't really he does everything, right?
He even used the
Um,
unit in this list. He used to not, but with two units of jackals, you have your backfield screened. It's fine.
yeah, and I used to like keeping around because usually he's for me. Usually he has his hand in the Demon Prince's pocket like a little mama duck and her duckling, because they he gives the Demon Prince on up. He is the infantry keyword. He is great for that. You don't have to attach him, but he's also there in case you need to break glass in case of emergency. Oh no, my opponent has multiple knights or greater demons on the table, and then you just slide them into the second Exalted 8-bound squad, and now you have three units that will take a knight by the foot and throw it onto the other table, right?
Yeah, just do a bane on them. Also, there's a lot of knights right now that are taking despoilers or knight was it defenders, knight defenders.
Yeah,
And those guys can't interrupt on you, and that's
yeah.
huge
And you can
because
just have a
that.
turn where you lift three bigs,
Yep.
and whatever else is on the table that's not a big is gone too.
If they're Canis and two defenders, you just kill all three in one turn because you start on Canis, and then if they interrupt, it's like, sure, I guess.
Yeah,
And then you just go dead, dead, and move on with your life. And
game's over, and then you just pack it
yep,
up and go get lunch.
yep,
Right? So also, if you run him solo, he's kind of like I like to say he's a spawn in a trench coat of if he has to skirmish, he absolutely can skirmish. If it's turn three and you've already gotten the most out of your blessings and Khorne is over there harvesting blood dice, so you don't need favored nearly as much. You can afford to be a little riskier with him. He is definitely a oh no, they put JPI here and I don't have spawn nearby. He will just go take the JPI and roundhouse kick them. So
the melee matchup, he's also pretty good because almost all melee is damage two. Just the way life is. Some of them are damage three, but generally damage two. And so what that means is if you put him with a squad of 8-bound and your opponent charges you and you go -1 damage, it's like actually really hard to kill that unit. It's like more annoying than they want.
and that was like what we were talking about earlier. It's like kind of not our equivalent. It's kind of the equivalent of the fights first problem, where they have now have to overcommit into this squad to make sure it dies because you have the threat of -1 damage. Because if they undercommit or commit just right and you pop -1 damage, and I had this happen last night in the Bully Boys, where a couple knobs left one E-bound model alive at one wound, and then there was the slaughter bound next to him, and he was just like, You're about to have a bad day. Thanks for the extra 100-point list. I'm happy
Yep.
I'm playing a 2,100-point list, right? That was exactly what happened.
They're all dead. You res a model, which means you get extra movement too because you
Yep,
play in front of yourself.
yep.
It's like game over on the spot almost. I played a game where also people can't like get their whole unit swinging into you all the time because of how the table works. So I played a game where six Sanguinary Guard and Dante charged into Slaughterbound with Berserker Glaive and three 8-bound. But they had to charge like, because I was staging the unit, they had to charge like around the side, and it was like a reasonably longer charge. And he made it, but he didn't make it as enthusiastically as we wanted. Like his unit was strung out because it like
Yeah,
and charged up the board, and it was just kind of awkward. So he and I think I may have heroic or like half the unit was
and
close to
pinned it,
something
yeah,
else,
or something.
and then
Yeah.
only three dudes swung on the 8-bound. It's real. It happens, and I went -1 damage, and I lost two guys, which is super real. I failed six saves, and maybe I wounded the guy or whatever.
I think Glavebound wanted his chunk of flesh.
The entire unit disappeared, and I rezzed a guy. My opponent was not super
Yeah,
interested in
that's
playing
just
the rest
game
of the game
lights
out.
out. That's just lights out.
Yeah.
So, the favored bound, it's a nice tech piece. There is no correct answer for where to put him. The answer is you look at your matchup, you look at what table you're on. You can probably write a whole essay on how to play that model correctly. Um,
Yep. I think a good heuristic is if they're heavy vehicle skew, put them in the exalted. If they're like a bunch of melee infantry, put them in the 8-bound. Or if you think they're like Necrons, where they're like hard to kill infantry or whatever, put them in the 8-bound. And if there are a lot of like nonsense little like rats running around the board, then put him by himself.
yep, absolutely. Then the rest of the list, we have the Tin Berserkers of Karn, standard, two spawn, standard, two 8-bound, standard. Like we don't really need to talk much about that. You do have the two exalted units. I mean, Jack and I were throwing around the idea of you can throw both in reserves.
Yep, we were talking about that actually
Let's,
before
I
we started recording.
think there's a couple scenarios you probably would into like some more elite armies like Grey Knights or Greater Demons, and you just want to like just be hunting the Greater Demons at all times. I
Yeah, I
think
can see
that's
it in those matchups for sure.
yeah, like they just make them watch their P's and Q's because at any point in time they're gonna lose a Greater Demon if they don't put the exact right spot. But broadly speaking, you're probably just putting one in reserves and you're putting one in the middle of the table just so your opponent doesn't get sneaky with it and put a Redeemer in the middle of the table turn one, and you're just like, oh, dang it, I
Yep.
can't do
And if
anything to
you,
answer that.
just for people at home, if you attach favored to one of the units, that is the one that starts on the board.
Yes, you favor does not work off the table.
Yep. So that
So
one has to be on the board. Glaive is in the air, and you just kind of like,
yep.
where you'd like him to go. He's going to
So
kill you. Oh,
there's
he's
a
going to.
list. We have our two Forge Fiends, just keeping your opponent honest, doing Forge Fiend things. Um, I think that this list is very well positioned in singles to keep consistent pressure on your opponent. Khorne goes out, does his thing. You follow up with a rapid ingress that does its thing. You have your skirmishing to knock your opponent off their expansion, and you win the game pretty handily if the game goes consistently in a vacuum by 15, 20 points, assuming something doesn't go horribly wrong. Teams, obviously, that's getting you like 14, 15. And maybe more, because if your opponent chooses to engage with you, they invite instant death. So,
Yes. I mean, I think you're legitimately uh, under accounting for how few points someone scores if they just are a coward and sit in the back. Because they like don't score cards very well if they just sit back there. They only score their home. Like legitimately, you can threaten to get like a 16 or a 17 if they just sit on their home objective and do the bare minimum moves. Just because they don't really have control of most of the board, right? They draw like tempting targets, like kick rocks. If they get like area denial, it's like, sorry, buddy, my Demon
yeah.
Prince is there, and you have to commit to kill him. They're like, I'm not willing to do that. Well, you're not willing to score 5 points, then get out of here.
So I guess before we get too far into challengers and like how we're going to play it in teams, we can actually talk a little bit about some of the matchups, like especially like some of the big name matchups. Obviously, we're not going to cover all of them. I'm not going to tell you guys how to beat AdMac because that's just first of all you have to pair an AdMac player. That's already a struggle. Granted, they're not a bad army.
No, they got a lot better. That's also just an annoying, grindy matchup where a lot
Yeah,
of decisions come up. It's
but
it's it's hard to have a broad strokes analysis of how to play that game other than play the game on the table, and you're probably going to get an 8 to a 12.
but starting from the top down, I mean, we'll just start with the problem armies. Knights. We spoke a lot about now we have the capabilities to beat knights. I think the passive aggressive playstyle that we've talked about plenty is exactly how you get that started. Make it so they have to play the game.
Yep.
Make throw spawn out, threaten a sticky on death, throw the prince out, make them shove a big knight forward, smack it off the table,
You have
and
enough threats that you can delete all of their units like one for one, which is great.
trade up,
Oh
which
yeah,
is we
straight up.
didn't do before. Before it was Karn plus 10 and probably something else to make sure it went down. It was like 450 points.
Yep.
Now, you just trickle out units. You sticky on death, force something to come out and answer, because 8 pound will just pick an armiger up and throw it off the table, which is why the 8 pound are great in that matchup. They're great armiger targets. Forge Fiends also have the potential to kill an armiger. What was it? You were talking about this list to a group of friends, and you're saying that you think you can comfortably kill like 9 armigers in one turn.
Yeah. So this list into a mass armigers spam, assuming you get connections across the board in like a reasonable way. My thought is, right, Slaughterbound and 3 Exalted find a home into 2 armigers that are vaguely next to each other. The Slaughterbound kills the armiger, the 3 8 bound kill the other armiger. This should happen basically all the time.
It's also the nightmare scenario of they actually have the math to kill 3 too. If you
Could kill 3 if you're an absolute G, but
then you got to
I don't know.
do not what I did, and you have to split your attacks.
So Exalted plus Slaughterbound can get 2 armigers pretty cleanly if they are just close to each other, right?
Yep.
So you have 2 packages of those, so that's 4. Karn and 10 guys can get 2 that are like even kind of apart, right? Because it's a long unit, and if you're missing like 3 or 4 chain X,
Yeah.
not the biggest deal. So that's 6. That's kind of crazy on its face.
Yeah.
Then 2 Forge Fiends shooting 1 armiger, pretty reasonable odds to kill it. That's 7. Prince goes into another one, either kills it or leaves it very, very low. That's 8. You have 2 units of 8 bound that go in, and you probably spend +1 AP either here or on Karn. And each of those 8 bound units has like a 50-50 chance to dome an armiger, and that's like 9 and 10.
And you add a little bit of spawn to the 8 pound interactions, and you probably get there.
hmm Or you just tie up the last like armature or whatever with some spawn
I
and
mean, at that point, they have other problems. If they scammed you and they have an Armiger alive in one of those interactions, I think it's okay. I think
yeah,
they can.
well,
You can let them have it.
it's also that both spawn together, all four spawn can also with lethal sustain
It
possibly bring down an
that's
armature.
like my favorite part about Spawn 2 is like they have decent math, even wounding on fives to like kill a blow drone.
Yeah, with
They
lethal
just can
sustain,
sometimes just
like,
do it.
uh-oh. Right. Roll like slightly good on attacks. You get like 18, 19 attacks. You get slightly good on sixes, suddenly dead.
Yeah, you're like, oh, here's four lethals. Oh, I hope you don't fail those and pay a CP. You're on a 5 up anyways. But yeah, our ability to flip armatures over is great. You just slow down, play that passive game, and force the night player to come play with you. Because if they do the here catch, here's five bigs in the middle. I mean, that's the dream come true. You're going to just kill three bigs and the little, and two bigs is not getting them out of that hole.
Yep. The thing to keep in mind, just people at home, is that what you don't want to do is open yourself up for interrupt to wreck you. So you do have to play a little bit around interrupt. And what that might look like is you charge eight bound and whatever into one, and then you charge Khorne and whatever into another one, and then Khorne, maybe they interrupt on Khorne and kill like four or five guys, and like, all right, that's fine. That's not a big
Yep.
deal. And then the eight bound picks one up, and the Khorne picks another one up, and you have the slaughter bound with three more guys ready to go in on the third one the following turn, and the game is functionally over at that point, but they didn't get a chance to play out of it.
Yep. So that's broadly covering knights. Death Guard, I feel like follows a lot of the same, not same, but you want to force them to play the game, right? They have gun platforms. The gun platforms are very scary for 8 bound. The sooner you can get rid of those gun platforms or lock them down, the better, right? Because eventually you want to turn the game into a I have all the guns and you don't
Yep.
scenario. The nice thing about this list is it does have the second Jackal squad, which is something I've been advocating for a while. I've been advocating either I mean that could be goremongers or jackals. They do a very specific job in world leaders that no other unit can do, and that is kill 10 boxwalkers. Spawn don't do it, and you certainly aren't putting 8 bound or berserkers into it. That just seems like bad news bears. And taking a forge fiend angle on boxwalkers sounds risky when there's three heavy bloat drones on the other side of the table.
Yeah, it depends if you can, like, if you only take shots from like one bloat drone in order to do it,
That's
then
fine.
it's probably fine. If you're not in contagion range, you're gonna live that, and then it'll
Yeah,
be
but there's
okay.
a lot of situations and some layouts where, assuming the Death Guard player is accounting for that, you need that second squad of Jackals. So I like deploying the second squad of Jackals aggressively in that matchup. Going for that quick Poxwalker kill in the middle, because usually they only have two squads. One will be back on the home screening, and one will be up front annoying you. Clear that. You lean into your Prince a lot in this matchup. I believe he tanks 3 Dash Shroud plus the Lord of Contagion, assuming you pop the additional -1 damage. You can actually
I,
pretty reasonably tank that.
I would assume so. The in certain detachments, no. Like if they have full rerolls to hit and wound,
Yeah, but that's Champions of
sustained crit buys.
Contagion
I'm
only,
not
right?
worried about champions of contagion. Champions of contagion.
Yeah, but I don't think
Pretty,
they get full reroll. Can they get full reroll? Is that I thought that was only Plague Marine
a
shooting.
lot of stuff. But they,
Regardless, he's really useful in that matchup because they have to dedicate a lot to get him down.
yes, I would be surprised if they managed to kill him from full with Death Shroud. Um, I would be deeply surprised by that, honestly.
And it's enough for you to at least count on him having a reasonable chance to tank it. You can use them. You use him to force the bloat drones to come out. Bloat drones are going to shoot at him. They're not going to kill him unless you roll really bad. Um, and you're going to be able to then respond with Forge Fiends, 8 bound, spawn, get rid of the blood drones, then you get to play the rest of the game with guns. They have no guns. Mortarian's in their backfield hiding for his life. If that Demon Prince even sets foot in the middle objective, he's gonna eat a glaive bound to the face.
Yeah,
Um,
something to note here is that also a lot of the time the bloat drones aren't going to be able to get within 12 inches of the prince,
right.
or like one can and a
It's
second
like,
one might be able to in like a really bad position, and the third one can't, and then they're like, well, that's not going to do any damage, so I'm not going to just throw it away for nothing, and so they don't even shoot at you at all.
yeah, make sure you're always like bullet drones move 10. A lot of gun platforms move 10. You say, okay, Demon Prince is 22.1 away. Have fun, right? That is what you should be doing with that guy is find your absolute limit, back him up to that point, and then I don't know, maybe you let one bullet drone shoot at him. Maybe you give your opponent the chance to mess it up, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Give them a bad connection and you're like, you want to throw it away? Also, on a go turn, you can very easily get spawn into the blow drones. They don't fall back and shoot, and they don't shoot into their own combat. So
And as we were saying, Spawn actually, especially if you give me two activations with Spawn, there's a good chance that drone isn't going to be there if the Spawn get two activations with lethal sustained up, assuming. But yep. After that, the rest of the game turns into a trading game. You're really good at killing all of their stuff. Your Forge fans are punching down pretty hard onto everything because Death Shroud dropped down. I mean, I honestly don't feel bad about Death Shroud hitting anything in the army as long as it is not the Glaive-bound squad. But if the Glaive-bound squad is getting hit, it's already done its job. It's probably going to fight on death and maybe pick up what just hit it. Or you have Khorne and his Rhino just chilling. I don't care if Death Shroud are being committed to beat up 8-bound, so be it. They're still going to die. Like
You
it's
just kill everything you touch in that match right now,
exactly.
which is so hard for them to play around because you are much faster than they are. You can kill everything in their army. They can't necessarily say the same about you, weirdly enough. Like the Prince is really hard. The Forge Fiends, as long as they don't get him in contagion, are actually very hard to kill. And also, they don't have a good answer to Karn and 10 other than drop uh, Death Shroud and get into combat with you. And even then, -1 damage is kind of a bitch. They don't
Yeah,
really like that.
yeah. And then also, I mean, that was I've watched plenty of Death Guard players go for that play and then fail the six into a six, and I'm just sitting there cackling. The game's fucking over.
At that
So
point, you're done.
So there's Thousand Sun, or sorry, there's Death Guard, there's Knights. Thousand Suns is also kind of a menace right now. I will say that is you said that was one of our better matchups. I'd say that one's still tricky. It used to be that the Vortex Beast was a pretty big problem for us, right? Karn plus 10 don't kill a Vortex Beast on average with max buffs, just because they can get slightly scammy with the fives on fives. Um, I now trust that we have more answers to that problem. Right now, I believe the Slaughterbound plus 3, even if it's just the Favor Bound, will just absolutely lights out a Vortex Beast.
Yep. I
Um,
also think that T Suns are about to become a lot less popular. That army got hit like hard.
I mean, if you're playing 18 Bogoats, that's a 100-point nerf already, which granted, good. I think 110 points for 6 feels about right anyways. But yeah, that army is cutting an entire Mutalith Vortex Beast and an enhancement right now if it wants to stay the same army. So
Yeah, that
g
feels pretty helpful there.
generally, I found taking their unit activations away from them in quick early trades, and then you just lead that with the classic World Leader Alpha, and they're so far behind they can't get back. Because I feel like in that matchup, a lot of the time I still end up tabled. But that is the classic. I have a 50-point lead on you, figure it out, and walk away from the table on turn 5
Yep. They also
matchup.
don't get to be a jerk with Magnus anymore. Because we didn't like really have a single activation that clapped Magnus, possibly Karn, right?
Yeah, but that was like a failure point to lose, is if you tried and didn't, and then now you're just like, well, I lose now.
The nice part about it, at least, is that Magnus trapped in combat with a unit he doesn't just one tap in combat is actually kind of hard for him, because now he's stuck in combat. He doesn't want to fall back because they just lose if they just take Magnus off the field for a turn. So he doesn't fall back usually. So then they have to solve this unit that's in combat with Magnus, and that's kind of a problem for them. And then they just get to hit him again,
Yeah,
which is nice. But again, it's like we have one answer for that one problem, and I hope my answer doesn't go away before that problem becomes a problem.
right.
Now we have a unit that just drops down and would kill like two Magnuses if they
And
were next
it's
to each other.
really hard for Thousand Suns to screen because they just don't have the unit activations, and that's why it's very important on those first couple turns to find those units that can screen, remove them from the table. So on turn 3, when it's go time, Magnus has nowhere to hide, right? That is what we want.
Yep.
Or if he is hiding, they're severely behind in the game.
He's hiding, or he's taking like pot shots. He's not actually trying to like hold objectives or kill units in combat too, and that's very helpful.
Yep. So just give them more things to deal with in one time than they can possibly deal with, and bully them on primary is my answer there. Eldar, I'd say, is probably the last of the major armies that I want to cover right now. I know Eldar, Jack was saying that Eldar is technically, I would even agree at this point. I've been Folgered twice now. I'll go ahead and say that that matchup, if the Eldar player plays it perfectly, it's like my least favorite thing for an Eldar player to say too, is they're like, oh, but it's fine because I'm T3 and that means I die if I make a mistake. Well, if they don't make a mistake, it's like, I guess I have no agency in the game. Is that the counter argument to that? So I'm sorry, we're Knife Fear haters here. Sorry,
Well,
Jack.
like, okay, so I played a bunch of Eldar and I played a bunch of World Leaders. Here's the deal, right? It doesn't really matter if they're toughness three. It's like you know who else dies if 8 bound charge them? Death Shrouds. So like, who cares?
Right.
Like, if you're charging them, they're dead. Sure, that's the same as every other army.
I I guess the one thing that you can convince me on is my rhinos are genuine threats to you. That is about it.
Yeah, I mean the problem I'll say is like two fire dragons split shots, and that rhino is sleeping with the fishes.
Yeah, I'm just saying, hey, seven
But
attack
yeah,
rhino with +1 AP
insane. That's
standing
insane.
next to 8 bound, that elf squad is cooked.
Gone. Um, Spawn aren't even as efficient into their units as you would want
No.
them to be because they have -1 to hit, and then Spawn hit on fives, and it's like, oops, I didn't kill him
And,
because they all have like 3 up armor saves for some reason.
and
So,
AP1 is, yeah, AP1's not consistent enough. Like you will leave a 5 man elf squad alive consistently with spawn.
so I've played into World Years with Eldar several times. I am the bad guy. It's possible. So it felt really, really bad for the other side, is what I will say. Because here's the thing: if the elf player, as I said, they're all cowards. They can't hear us here. If they backline their army, right, and stay like, how far do you move? Oh, you can get out 17, and then you can charge. Oh, 29. Okay, so if I'm over 29, I'm safe. They do that, and they stay 29 inches away, so you can't charge them. You have an in.
Yeah,
You're good.
because they go 27 and charge you, so they can stand 29 away, and you're still in danger.
So this is what I did as the Eldar player. It's really not cool.
Jack,
So
we need to know how to beat you, not how to
you have to
twist the
know what
knife into
it's
me.
like when things go bad to know
Okay, okay,
what
keep
it
going.
looks like. So what I would generally do is first off, Forge Fiends, not very good in the Eldar matchup, unfortunately. If they're shooting at an aspect warrior unit at 18 inches, they're grand. Anything other than that, not good. And largely, they're clunky enough to move around, and fire dragons are broken enough to move around that fire dragons will get them before they hit something I really care about. Just kind of the way it works. Fire dragons go like 22 inches in the transport, get out, shoot, and then get back in. They're broken, not really our fault. So what I would do is I would take Eldrad and 10 Storm Guardians, and I would literally make a big line in my deployment zone. And then behind it would go all my Aspect Warriors. And if Forge Fiends popped out to take long range shots hitting on fives, because I'd spend the -1, into any of those Aspect Warrior units with no rerolls and no rapid fire, cool. I'll nuke them on the clapback, I'll go forward, kill them, get back in, and it's fine. So you can't get to use the Forge Fiends there. And then that means any like scouting run-up unit is also probably not going to get the job done because Jane Czar's in the middle of that unit too and can heroic. So this is a really annoying thing to deal with because like the only thing that deals with it's like 12 idiots with -1 to hit and invulns, and there's one guy with a 3 up armor save in the unit with 2 wounds. So what like really deals with that is like Khorne. But you can't use Khorne there. That's horrible because then Fugan gets out and racks his shotgun and blasts.
Yeah, if you think you're getting a blood surge, you're lying to yourself. Plenty of situations I pay the CP for go to ground to get my 6 up infold and pray that I just natty a couple sixes.
And that's what you do as the World Leaders guy is you do go to ground, but they'll also be like hawk bomb, hawk bomb, hawk bomb, grenade. You're a 6 man unit now. Cool. And then with wounding on twos, no real saves, you get the 6 up, and then Fugan will just hand you 9 wounds.
But he's anti-tank.
Yes, he is anti-tank. He has a spread shot though, and this is
He's
very
but
important.
he's anti-tank though, Jack. You're telling me he's good at shooting it into anything?
Unfortunately, fire dragons are just good at shooting everything. It's a big lie that they're only good into monsters and vehicles. So Fugan has a 3-shot gun that is sustained hits 2, and they have 2 flip to 6s. So congratulations, it's actually 9 hits, and it's strength 8, AP 3, damage 2 or 3, depending on how close you are. And that plus a fire dragon unit that is getting sustained on fives, or they won't get sustained fives because you can't shoot them with Lycus first, but whatever. Getting sustained hits, he shoots, he is crit fives off of that because of the interaction of the strat and whatever. The whole unit's gone, especially if they get to bomb or overwatch or grenade or do any of the stuff that they're always going to do to pick that unit up. So that's very annoying. I played into a 20 and a 10 man. It is a massive lie that one 20 man solves that matchup. It does not. If they mess up, it does. Fantastic. Um,
What I found is exactly the interaction you just described is they come out and grenade, grenade, grenade. Then they set Jane's R directly in front of the Juggernaut Lord. Fuegan fire hoses the squad, and whatever's left over meets Jane's R in one on in single
Not
combat.
a good place to be if you are a character.
Because you're going to be down 15, 16 berserkers.
Yep. I set up because you get to really bully the firing lanes because if the Forge Fiends come out, they're not shooting at the closest thing, right? You can make it so you have some 55 point unit that's closer. If the Forge Fiends come out, they're going to do negligible damage and then they're going to die in response. Because of that, you get to set up like Lycus with an Overwatch that's super vicious. So I had a guy run out a Juggernaut Lord with a 20 man. I Overwatched with Lycus. I rolled slightly good, but honestly not that crazy, and I killed like six or seven. Because Lycus's Flamer just killed like three, and then
Yeah.
the rest of the squad, I put her in a Flamer unit, which I think is what you do, the double Flamer Exarch. And it's just like a lot of dice, and you get four ups, and I killed like six or seven. And then he charged in. I heroic with Jane Zar to stop the 6 inch pile consolidate. Bada bing, bada boom, and I killed like another seven. And then on my turn it was a 6 man, and it just disappeared.
Yeah, and I mean the Berserker problem, like because we're talking from the world leader's perspective, is like the 20 mans are genuinely good into Eldar because everything you just described, it's a lot of resources, right? The only way this works is if you replicate this problem three more times and you just full send it down the table. But there's you're losing a lot. I feel like you lose a little bit of agency there.
Yeah,
So
and there's a possibility they win that matchup anyway. Like they have all the agency. They would have to play very good to get out of it, but you don't have any control over that. Um, but yes, anyway, so you have the big wall of guardians. You put all your dudes behind it. The fortunes are very bad into that. You Janes are heroics, so it's very hard to interact with that entire package on turn one. And then after that, what you do is for the first couple turns as the Eldar player, what you do is you put nonsense on the middle objectives. The world leaders will never hold their expansion because 10 fire dragons plus Fugan, getting out, shooting, getting back into transport, that is then hard to kill
yeah,
and
talk about Demon
constantly.
Prince feeling safe with a 12-inch long op. That is a unit that invalidates that instantly.
Yeah, the Demon Prince is just gone. I don't, dude.
So
Eldar's a
so
whole trip. Anyway, so you put nonsense out. That's the first phase of the game. Because they don't really die to spawn because of -1 to hit, it prompts like hilarious trade downs. So oftentimes the world league player won't go for it, or they'll go for one or two. And then as soon as it hits like turn three or something, there's like a big line of dudes just down the set, like five Rangers and then like five Hawks just in front of your deployment zone, preventing you from leaving. You'll kill it, but then everything behind it will kill you because everything behind it is like on the midline of the table now.
yeah.
So like
And
their entire army is in your face, but you can't move because they have all these like little nonsense units penning you in. And at that point, it gets very bad.
now
So you have to get it before that point.
as the world leader player looking for ways to get out of this situation, right? It is important that you find ways, if possible, to secure primary turn one.
Yes.
Trying to hold your expansion, and you may not hold your expansion, right? If you put something on there of reasonable substance, like a Demon Prince, what that is going to do is that is going to force the Eldar player to bring an answer out to do it, if they choose to. If they are a coward, congrats, you're great. Most Eldar
Yeah.
players are cowards.
I
If they're
would
not a
say
coward,
all of
you,
them are actually.
in order to, I would say from my end, in order to stop something or at least force engagement is what that's what you need to do. You need to force engagement early so you get units dying quicker so that this impending doom that's coming towards you doesn't happen on turn three, turn four, because now you're going to be stuck in the mid board and you're going to be so far behind on primary that they're basically doing what we're trying to do to them back to us.
Mhm.
You want to look for opportunities to have Khorne and 10 pick up three, four units. That is pile and six goes a long way here.
You
Really
basically
lean.
have this up anytime you do anything.
Yep. And then look for your Forge Fiends and your Rhino plays. Like they are actually pretty decent in melee into Eldar. You're not going to kill a squad, but if you tie a squad up or if you run a squad over with a tank shock, like literally use everything to kill the elves because everything does kill the elves. Same thing, jackals. Yeah, your one squad of jackals is like your only consistent, your aggressive jackals is like your only consistent trade piece that'll just go kill rangers, and you're like, yeah, I'm fine with that. Everything else is gonna suck, right? You're throwing spawn, you may or may not kill them. Forge Fiend actually doesn't kill Rangers on average, which is really messed up, even with an 18.
It's really
Uh,
bad. That's why you want sustained 6 inch pile consolidate is like,
you live there. That's just where you live. And I know people say, well, you don't need sustained
yeah, you
because
do.
you just kill on contact. You do because that means that 5 man that's alive at one wound because you didn't pick sustained hits, right? And then now that dude's gonna fall back and shoot you with two flamers and you're dead. Like you lose all 10 jackals. Um,
Or God forbid, right? You charge into a unit of like aspect warriors on an objective with two spawn, and you kill two of them because you didn't have sustain and you're hitting on fives now because they spend a
yep.
CP.
And,
Like that is a lot more likely than you're happy with, right? It's like 17 attacks, 6 hits, 5 wounds. They pass 3 of 5
yep.
4-ups. Like, oh, that just happens.
And
And then suddenly they get a bunch extra primary, and now the onus is on you to go even harder.
it,
So the position that I said where they're just like crushing you is the position on like turn 3 or 4 on, where they feel comfortable putting their army in the center of the board and using their fast moving elements to get around you and prevent you from moving. You need to cut them off before that happens. Once that happens, your options are so limited, you're not getting out of the position anymore if they've done it right. So you need to hit them before that can get set up.
mhm.
As they're on their way in,
And
you need to intercept them with 6-inch pile and consolidate plays, get in there and start hitting.
it,
They're playing aspect host. You have a serious win condition here that does not exist as much against war host. And a lot of people are playing aspect host. And that win condition is tagging Fugin's unit. If you can get that idiot in combat, you get to win the game.
it's that simple. Like that is half of the elf's damage output is activating Fugan 5 times over the course of the game. That is going to be what does the majority of the damage in the army. That's also what I was going to say. Look for opportunities to cascade. When I say cascade, it's a fairly complex. It's really annoying to have to set up at the table. It's where you charge the transport, and this is where sometimes you have to overcommit into the elves. You have to overcommit to get them to play the game because at the end of the day, they are T3 and they do just die. So if you
Yeah.
spend one turn trading down, that's fine because if that sets you up for your next turn, even though you have 800 points of models on the table, 800 points of world leaders can table 1500 points of elves really quickly. So, and it's really uncomfortable to play like that, and it really breaks your brain. But having like an opportunity where you can go, okay, sweet, Exalted 8 bound or Deep Striking onto the table, Mo or Khorne 17-inch advanced charge, that Wave Serpent was a little too close because I can slingshot, pile, and consolidate 6 off of something else. Like that they put Rangers in front of you. Charge that with Jackals. Also charge that with Berserkers. Pile and consolidate 6 into that Wave Serpent. Crack that Wave Serpent. Fuegan spills out, pile in with something else. You really have to be looking for creative solutions to get into Fuegan and get him off the table, right?
Because the other thing is they are actually very bad at killing 10 berserkers all in one activation, except for Fugan, who will do it every time. So if the difference between Warhost and Aspect Host is Aspect Host theoretically does more damage, I think Warhost is significantly better for a couple reasons. One, they can get 2 units back in transports every turn, and so that means their damage actually ends up being functionally higher. And two, they can fall back, shoot, and charge. They have a CP for it.
Yep,
Now, CP for it is not free. This is not Angelic Inheritors, where every unit falls back, shoots, and charges all the time. This is a CP. It can be in one place. So, if you're playing into Aspect Host, they have no way to fall back and do anything, and every idiot in that army is Strength 3, no AP, except for the
and just
Phoenix Lords, who are not punching their way out of combat.
touch everything. I mean, if that's a situation,
Everything.
if your
6
spawn didn't kill that Warp Spider
everything.
unit, that's fine because you're gonna get it next turn, right?
In
Um,
Aspect Host, if you kill the transport that Fugan is in, and then you consolidate into Fugan, they have no way of activating Fugan again, other than there's one way: Hawk bombing you out, right? Hawks run up, throw a bomb, they can do it into combat because they're busted. But the 10 mans went up a lot. So make sure your Slaughterbound, if you're in there, is like the one touching Fugan so they can't get out of combat with you.
yep,
And suddenly, Fugan doesn't get to activate. And anybody you touched doesn't get to activate.
yep.
That gets really bad really fast, and suddenly they can't find their way out of that problem anymore.
And
In
and
host,
and
if
I
you
was
tag,
talking about
yeah,
cascading. There's a way to do it correctly, which I'm just going to touch on real quick. Unfortunately, emergency disembark is not optional. I know you can put a lot of people in a bad situation where they want to emergency disembark, and you're like, actually, you can't. So this is really annoying to do at the table. Just make sure you're establishing intent with your opponent. Have them get their unit out of the transport before you even start attacking the transport, and prove to yourself and your opponent that they have space to get out of the transport. Because if they do have space to get out within 3, they have to get out within 3. So when you're doing your charges and your cascadings and you do touch that Wave Serpent with 8 bound and you do want to get in there with then pile into the contents with Berserkers, make sure they actually have space to get out. Otherwise, they can pop out in a different direction and it just ruins your plan. And then Fuegan fire hoses you and you still lose. So make sure you're still leaving space for them to get out. Intentionally leave them space. Sometimes that can lead to you messing your charge up on purpose, where like you start stringing berserkers back, so just in case you boxcar, you're fine. Like the danger zone of rolling a 12 is not there.
Yep.
Um, that is what I'm referring to when I say cascading. I'll probably talk about that more in a different video. But that is just the top down. And you really just got to force the elf player to play the game early. The earlier they play the game, the more likely you are to kill them. The later you make them play the game, it's not going
They
to
can
work.
afford to throw resources away to just stand in your way, and they can't do that early.
Because I got a ton of 50, 60, 70 point units that are just going to get in your way, that
Yep.
move 20 billion inches and still grenade and still shoot and still get gaslight you that they're bad in their T3. Um, anyways, that is probably what I would say would be the best army in the game still at the moment because we're still in a night meta.
Because they didn't change. Also, I think Eldar are just like disgusting into a lot of armies. This isn't just an us problem.
Yeah.
In Warhost, where they can fall back and shoot, it is you still worth tagging Fugan because then everybody else you tag can't do anything. And into Aspect Host, I legitimately think we might like. I don't think it's actually that bad in Aspect Host. It really isn't. They only can get one unit back in the transports every turn, which means they get one unit that can, that doesn't have to mean it when
Yeah.
you. And then they cannot leave combat and do anything, and that is so much easier for us to deal with. So I don't think Aspect Host is nearly as bad, and I think a lot of people are playing Aspect Host. So
Yeah. So
anyway,
broadly speaking, I think we've covered all of the heavy hitter matchups that are going to be giving you guys at least problems or being consistently seen in the metagame. There's a few more out there, right? We do have other melee matchups. I know you said you wanted to touch on that just a little bit, Jack, if we're talking about something like Blood Angels. We can
yeah,
do a
we
little bit of that.
we don't have to go into it in too much detail. I think World Leaders has a very nice niche where we just beat other melee armies.
It's especially it's so nice in teams because typically if you defend a melee army, the best answers are to present it with melee counters, which tend to be other melee armies that are skewed to beat melee. The issue with that is you then take that melee player and you throw them on a light table, and you're like, I have guns. You don't. Mine are better than yours. I'm going to chill over here and shoot you for 5 turns, and eventually I'm getting my points, right?
Yep.
That is absolutely the scenario I see in teams. Same thing to singles, right? If orcs, they're not realistically interacting with Forge Fiends from across the table,
Yep.
right? I
Let's
don't.
No, they're not really.
Maybe tank busters in not tank busters, yeah, tank busters, the shooty ones. And yeah, I'm thinking breaker boys. Yeah, tank busters maybe in the detachment where they can hit on fours. Maybe in that detachment. That is something you should be scared of. Again, play around that. But in the melee matchup, you can really lean into your forge fiends to actually just like slow the pace of the game down, make them lose like 300, 400 points of value, and then hard commit.
Yeah, it's
You're
not
probably
just
fine.
Orc Fiends either. Like, let's take a look at Liberator Assault Group, an army that I think is severely overhyped. But that's just me. Other people really like it, people whose opinions I respect. So let's look at what tools we have in a melee matchup, right? We have -1 damage, which is so good into
Yeah.
melee armies.
And
It
you
is
have it in 2 spots too, right? Because the
you have
prince
it in
can bully.
spots, and one of them is on a toughness 10 target, which means like 6 Sanguinary Guard don't get him, right? You have access to -2 damage if you stack it on the same guy, which is very funny into stuff like Breaker Boys, where they become damage 1. But we have access to -1 damage, not just, you're right, not just in any place we want, but also in like the best place, which is the Demon Prince for free at all times. That is incredibly hard for melee armies to play around by itself. But we have more. We also have the best interrupts in the biz because we have another 2 CP strat that just wrecks them. Let's look at Liberator. If you charge into Liberator Assault Group, it's probably fine. They're a bunch of Strength 4 AP 1 1
There's,
damage idiots. Like they can't really interrupt on you. You just get to tee off. You start in whatever place they can interrupt and it's scary,
and
and
there's
then
no fight on deaths, and they're gone.
they're just gone. Right? If they interrupt with like Sanguinary Guard, you go -1 damage, you barely feel it, you kill them. But if they charge you in 2 places, whatever you interrupt with is going to kill an entire unit, no questions asked.
And you're probably living in the realm of sustained hits, fight on death the entire game too, which no other army has access to that.
No other army has access to that consistent level of damage where every time you activate, you put one of their units on their ass. And then you also have army-wide 4-up fight on death in that matchup is horrific for them because you have the damage output to always be putting them on their ass whenever it happens. It's like you flip a coin, basically. They charge you and you flip a coin. Oh, you got me. Cool. All right. -1 damage might play a factor in that. And then you flip another coin. If it lands tails, you're like, You got me. Cool. All right, my unit's dead. No problem. Maybe take a little damage on the fight on death, but nothing crazy. But if it
Right.
lands heads, you got enough fight on deaths to where their unit just disappears.
The amount of times I've had like five warp talons charge like two 8-bound that are just chilling on the table somewhere, and this is the same concept. And then the two 8-bound both roll 4-ups and just take the warp talons to hell with them too. Just like you're coming with me.
And it's not the fact that you can do this in one place. It's the fact that this is up all the time and means that anytime they kill one of your units, it's like a 50-50 that they just get wiped,
Yep.
right? That you roll enough 4-ups to where
Because
your unit just aces
a
them.
lot of these melee armies are not durable. They cannot take one 8-bound activating can kill 5 JPI pretty reasonably if you just spike your sustains. Right?
Yep.
There's a chance that you just kill 5 Marines with one 8-bound.
And because it's
So
all game, it's going to spike at some
so
point.
I
The
would
prince
comfortably say we're king of the melee armies right now, and it's good to be king.
also
So
Forge Fiends just have like the best anti like melee unit profile in the game for
yeah,
shooting.
yeah, it's just but what flavor of Marine are you putting in front of me? Terminator, aggressor,
Doesn't
aggressor
matter.
spicy. I'm winning on threes. Careful.
Yeah.
But so I would say broadly we're king of the melee, and we're gonna give you a little plug for you here, Jack. So the obviously we can't cover all 28 armies in the game. We've only covered just the big hitters. Jack, if somebody wants to learn how to handle the rest of the armies because they have that one AdMech player in their locals that is just an absolute nightmare to them, where would they go do that?
Well, where you would go is you'd go to the warroom.vhx.tv. There's a free 3-day trial there that has all of our content. We have, I mean, I'm about to do a group coaching also for world leaders, which is like
Yep.
a personalized class. But just based on our website, there's a lot of world leaders content. There's a lot of world leaders games that you can go and watch if you want to check it out. If for some reason you need more than the red path and you want to watch two, maybe you have two monitors and you want to have something on both of them, um, then you can go check us out. But the red path is also pretty baller for that.
Awesome. That's great to hear, Jack. And yeah, also we have our Patreon too. Feel free to check that out for a coffee a month. You support us being able to have opportunities. I mean, Jack and I are going to get a chance to meet at Challengers Cup, then probably again at Worlds. That's going to be awesome. We really appreciate you guys. Those of you that are sub to us, we're definitely trying to open the Patreon up to more opportunities. We're doing workshops in there. If you want to get some advice from Dara for hobby content, I mean, the Demon Prince he did for me, I know Jack saw it, and I hope to show it off in person to him. That thing is and if you want to learn how to paint just like him, he's happy to give you some advice, competitive advice, workshops, all that stuff. Check us out. Also, Jack did just get his shipment of new Red Path dice in,
Did.
Baron of Dice. They're sick. Square corners. If you don't like square corners, we have round corners coming out as soon as we get through this batch. So I'm going to put a link to that down below if you would like to support us. We have a little bit of merch too. So check that out. But broadly to wrap it up, final talking point, Jack. Better going forward. Are we excited?
Oh, super excited. I think our army just got better generally, but also it got better in the perfect way, which is where it just like ironed out some of our worst matchups, especially the ones where we had the least
Yeah,
agency.
and I was telling a lot of the people in my playgroup, I was like, unless you're playing one of the no-no armies, you're not going to feel the power spike at the table playing into a world leader player, right? Like you're not going to feel the data slate power spike. Maybe you'll feel it when your Vindicator gets 28 mortal wounds put on it by a glaive bound, but like that's it.
Yes.
We got stronger. Like we didn't get stronger into the stuff we were already playing fine into. We got way stronger into the stuff that we were struggling into. And as for players that are sweaty tournament grinders like myself, that's nice because that means I can consistently go into every round knowing that there's a chance that I'm always going to win, right? I'm never going to walk up to a table and be like, ah, dang it.
I have
That's
to go
just
for like the outside line, or I have to play much better than them in order to win, which doesn't obviously
right,
work all the time.
which is nice
Uh,
for Worlds coming up right around the corner. And yeah,
Worlds, huh?
oh, are you saying I have a decent matchup into pretty much the entire game?
Got a pretty good matchup in
Let's
the
go.
entire game.
That's
That's
pretty
crazy.
good. It's pretty
Yeah.
good. So I'm pretty excited, guys. Like this is it's good to be and I don't necessarily think we're like broken. I just think we have game into everything,
Yes.
which is where I would classify us. I don't think we're going to be putting up massive win rates. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to keep floating around that 50, maybe push 51, 52, just because we don't get stomped on by night players. If we do more than that, so be it. We'll take a little bit of points adjustments, but I'm really excited for State of World Leaders right now.
I think so for sure. We're also there's plenty of World Eater Crusaders out there who are putting in the good work of they got into World Eaters because what they want to do is deploy on the line and run straight at their opponent screaming. And God bless them, they're going to keep the win rate
Keep
down.
doing that. Keep doing that for me, guys.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Yeah. And Berserkers are strength 4 too. They're so bad. They definitely need to go up in strength 2. Next slate, Berserkers up in strength, guys. I
Oh yeah,
believe in you.
pick space even maybe.
I have some strength
Mm.
7 Berserkers. That'd be
Oh, that'd be
nice.
so good.
That'd be so good. Anyways, with that, final thoughts, Jack?
Final thoughts. I think we're eating them good worlds. You know, I'm excited to play them. We're both going to be playing them to Challengers Cup. Maybe we get the honor duel. Maybe,
I'll throw
possibly.
the glove. You want to have the mirror match? The mirror match. Honor
You
duel.
don't run Forge Fiends, man. I promise you, you're going to be fighting uphill.
I, Probably, actually. That would be the one that I would deny. But
But hey, listen, we're in a great spot. We're both excited for it. I'm excited to actually like meet you for the first time because I met you at LVO technically, but
we've
it
existed
was
in the
like,
same space.
but we've been chatting a lot, so I'm excited to see you at Challengers. Anyone else who's at Challengers, feel free to come up and say hi. This is gonna be a fun one, really is.
This is gonna be a fun one. I'm happy that we decided to go with the new slate too. I mean, you know, a couple Gene Stealer Thousand Sons and players and out there. I feel for you. I really feel for you. But I'm sorry, I'm willing to sacrifice you if that means no challenger cards. That is the exact sacrifice I'm willing to make.
I'm sure all the diehard T Suns players who watch a World Leaders channel will appreciate it.
The one in the comments. I'm sorry, but challenger cards needed to go.
They did, they did. And, we
So
win.
with that, it was a pleasure having you on, Jack, as always. Look forward to having you. I mean, you like it here, apparently. You come back a second time.
Yeah, it's fun.
So maybe it'll happen a third or a fourth time, guys. So thanks for coming on, Jack. Really appreciate it. Um, with that, I'll go ahead and close this out. Just want to say, guys, thank you again for sticking around. If you have stuck around this long, Jack and I did kind of just talk a little bit. We've been going for a minute, but thanks for sticking around.
Oh yeah, this has been a bit.
But that's okay because it was all good. It was all quality.
Yeah.
So with that, I'll say, stay healthy, stay safe, and kill, maim, burn, guys.